And we are live, ladies and gentlemen. You are listening to the Decision Hour on Wicked Awesome Wednesday. Hashtag Awesome Wednesday. Yes, I made that up. Sounds good to me. I am a New Englander. We use the word wicked a lot. You know, he hit the ball wicked far. You know, he hit him really hard. I don't have all the time to go through all that, but I am JD, and along with me is my good buddy Adam Bird. Adam, what's up?
Not much, Bill. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing okay. There's something that I need to get off my chest, but before we do that, let's go into our quotes for the day. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start. And I picked a quote today from Michael Jordan because of our guest who will be on here in about 15 minutes. She hails from Chicago. Currently, I believe she lives in Florida, but she is a diehard Chicago Bulls fan. And so from Michael Jordan, my quote for today is, "Never say never, because limits, like fears, are often just an illusion." Never say never, because limits, like fears, are often just an illusion. And I want to go into that here in a little bit, but I know you also have a quote that you want to do.
Yeah, mine comes from a biblical sense, if you will. I believe it's, and don't quote me verbatim on this, it depends on which Bible you read it from, but it's Matthew 21, verse 22, and it goes something along the lines of, "Those who believe will and have faith will receive what they ask for in prayer."
Outstanding, brother. I love the biblical quotes. Proverbs 6 and 2 is another one of my favorites, and perhaps I'll bust that out next week.
Nice.
But we do have Ms. Tracey Walker, who will be joining us here in a little bit as our very special guest. And the reason why this is Wicked Awesome Wednesday, because usually our show, the Decision Hour, it's on Tuesdays, right? But when we have the opportunity to be able to have a guest who is pretty much on the top of the mountain right now in her world as an entrepreneur, we made some time to bring her on, and she absolutely deserved for us to be able to work around her schedule. Just the opportunity to have her on. I've been giddy all day. I mean, it's almost like opening up, you know, your Christmas present, except you try to do it on Christmas Eve every year. And yeah, I did that every single year. Drove my parents completely nuts. Did you do that too?
Drive my parents nuts? Yes, I drove them crazy. You know, I've been good at a lot of jobs, but I'd have to say that particular one, being a son that can drive my parents absolutely nuts. In fact, I think my mom's listening right now. You're welcome.
You're welcome. I'm sure that's exactly what she's saying right now, too.
Yeah, right.
We should have her come on. Her thoughts on that one.
No, no, we don't want to do that.
But the quote again that I did from Michael Jordan has a lot to do with giving more power to imaginary things. And I'm not talking about like the boogeyman, or maybe in a case I kind of am, because a lot of people, when they decide or they're thinking about making the decision to make a big change to their life, make a more positive change to their life, the thought of fear pop into their head. And again, the thought of fear can be one of two ways. It's either the fear of success, what if I do this and I can't handle it, or the fear of failure, what if I try and it doesn't happen, you know? And a lot of times when people think about that, and they think about that fear, and the more they think about it, they give it more and more and more power. And eventually, without even saying a word, just on what's going on in their mind, they've talked themselves out of it. And, you know, there's been a few things that, you know, I've done that before in the past. I've actually had to train myself to completely wipe fear out of existence. One is, and I mentioned Proverbs 6 and 2, which basically is to speak the world into existence. But when I speak the world into existence, and I help individuals that I bring into our industry, it's all about being positive. And Adam, one of my best days that I had in a long time was about, I think it was about 6 months ago. It was me and you, and we were driving to go get something to eat from like Fat Burgers R Us. which we visit often, and more than we need to. But I remember that day. You remember that day. I remember that day because you turned to me and you said, "Man, I noticed a huge change in you." And you asked me what happened. You asked me what happened, and I got a little bit emotional, and I had to tell you, man. There was one day in my life, and it was not that long ago. There was one day in my life where I didn't have the things that I have today, where I don't have the freedom, where I didn't have the freedoms that I have today, where the phone was just ringing off the hook, and it was bill collectors, and I was worried about my car being repossessed, and it was like a payday, and already in my mind, I knew that every single dime of that money was already gone before it even left my bank account. Okay, I had my check direct deposited, but I knew it was already gone because I had to make my car payment, I had to make my phone bill, I had to pay a few bills that weren't mine. But whatever the case was, I knew that it was already gone, and I just said at that moment, you know what, I am sick and tired of this, and this is going to change right now. And when I said it out loud, and when I said it out loud, I gave it power. And Tony Robbins, and we quote Tony Robbins a lot, as well as like Jim Broad and a few others that we listen to. But Tony Robbins says that you should never leave the the spot of having an idea without doing something to put it into action. And it was on that day that I said that I immediately got online, and I shared this with Brent Waymeyer yesterday, our special guest. That's the day that I found Brent Waymeyer, because I went on and I said, I need to make more money. How am I going to do it? And I started looking at my passions, and my passions for sports and whatnot, and just writing in general. And that's how I did it. But it doesn't matter, for those of you that are listening, it doesn't matter how you do it. The important thing is that you do it. It doesn't matter if you join me and Adam. It doesn't matter if you join Brent Waymeyer. It doesn't matter if you join our special guest for this evening, Ms. Tracey Walker, who will be on shortly. Just get in and start taking massive action immediately. And by doing that, you will completely erase those fears from your mind, because those fears will be replaced with these positive thoughts, these positive visions. Your environment will start to grow with positive people around you. And I'm not just talking about being positive just for the heck of being positive. Being positive is great. But when you have people around you that can be positive with you, and people that you can share ideas with, like I can share with Adam, like we can share tonight with Tracey Walker, like I've heard her talk on stage now a few times, and I will travel again to do so because she is damn worth it. And you'll see why when she comes on, but she is one of those positive people. And a lot of times when Tracey Walker talks about being positive, she doesn't necessarily come out, and she doesn't like fluff it and do it with all types of love and kindness. And no, she lays it down as it is. She will tell you to get off your ass and get moving. And that is absolutely what I love about her, especially coming from the Army. In the Army, when life or death is on the line, you need to get off your ass and you need to start moving. Okay? And so she reminded me almost like the drill sergeant, and she is the only female that's kind of sort of in my life that has ever got me to turn off a football game, which is probably why I don't have another female in my life as of this moment, but I'll work on that. It's weird because I'm the single one on the show now. It didn't used to be that way. I go back like, 3 months ago?
Yeah.
It wasn't like that. Which, by the way, congratulations on your relationship.
It's funny because the entire network, and I'm sure everybody's getting a laugh out of this right now, but the entire network, I think I was the only, being the CEO, and I was the only person that was single. Out of everybody, 90% of the Vets on Media family. So everybody's either married or they have a significant other of some sort. Up until recently, you know, I somebody snagged me and hasn't let go yet,
Yeah,
so
man.
things are good.
It's awesome, man. It's the one girl you can say I'm a Packer fan too, and she doesn't go running. Um, but
Yeah, right, exactly. It was funny. She texted me last night, and real quick, JD, if I can, I got to do a shout out for her real quick.
go ahead, man.
Liz, I love you to death, sweetheart. And she's actually, those of you in the upper northwest, and if you're in Seattle tonight, you'll be able to go check her out live. She's actually hosting NBC's premiere of American Odyssey tonight down in Seattle. So she's up there getting ready for that. So that's pretty cool, I thought. So
Outstanding, man. Dude, I am so happy for you, bro. I am, man. I'm ecstatic for you. But you know what? That took a decision too.
it
That
did.
took a decision too, because you were single for. We're not going to go into how long you were single for.
What decade is it?
Um, yeah, what decade? Yeah, we're going to be going back to Marty McFly in
All
'85.
right.
Uh, but I mean, I've been blessed with some really good relationships. Actually, just one really, really good relationship, and it lasted 10 years, and we're still great friends. So a big shout out to Ashley for putting up with me for that long. Um, but you know, she's focusing on her career, and I'm kind of focusing on mine right now. And you never know. But getting back to this fear thing,
Yeah.
okay? Fear in my life doesn't exist. I mean, unless you're talking about like, you know, obviously like death, you know, disease, stuff like that. That's kind of in the back of my mind a little bit. You know, high blood pressure, the way I eat, yeah. Um, but as far as taking a risk to better yourself, there's no reason whatsoever why you should be afraid of that. Yeah, and you shouldn't be afraid of what people think around you for wanting to take that risk. Because, I mean, as I've shared before, what people say about you does not define you. All right? If people say you can't do something, that doesn't mean that you can't do it. That means that they don't want you to do it. Basically, is what that means, because they are too afraid to step up and take that challenge to be able to create a better life. And I'm not just talking about, you know, everybody when you mention, you know, a better life, a lot of people probably think, you know, life on the beach. First off, I'm pretty sure that you know, living on the beach would probably get pretty boring. Now, I'm more of a city person. Grew up in Boston. You know what I'm saying? I love the city. I'm in Phoenix, Arizona right now. I am 10 minutes away from every sporting outlet out there. So I am more than happy where I'm at, but there will be those occasional visits to the Bahamas and whatnot. So basically, again, if you're thinking about making a change, just do it, man. Get that fear out of your mind. Clear your mindset and turn it into a positive one. Instead of saying, I can't do this because of what happened in the past, say, I can do this and I will do this because what I want for me and my family in the future. Okay? And Ms. Tracey Walker is actually jumping on here. She'll be in it. She'll be in a moment. I'm sure she'll have plenty to speak to that. But Adam, being that you are one of the founders of Vets on Media, okay, completely unheard of, veteran owned and operated. We do what we do for the troops. We love our troops. We love our veterans. We love our military family. But it wasn't all smooth. How many times did you let fear of failure get in the way from driving forward?
Man, I tell you what, you know, that's a great question, JD, and I'm glad you asked that because fear, you know, I have a 12-year-old. I'm a single parent, and my son lives with me. I have sole custody of him, so he's with me all the time. And there was a fear of branching out and what I like to say, taking that leap of faith into the entrepreneur world. You know, I stressed last night. You know, I always kind of tiptoed around the pool and would stick my toe in, but I'd never jump in. And I'm glad finally I got to a point in my life where I said, listen, my son's in school. He's getting ready to play sports. If I'm building somebody else's dream, I'll never get to see it. Not that never, but I won't get. I'll miss a lot of his functions and stuff that he wants to do because I have to ask somebody to get off of work early, or I have to ask somebody to take the day off. I don't ask anybody anything now. Like that, and I try to keep that open with the show hosts that are on and let them do different things. We have a very tight family here, I think, at Vets on Media, so I'm very blessed, first and foremost, to say that. But fear at first did get in the way. Now I welcome it. If there's questions about it or anything like that, that's the type of stuff I want to eat for breakfast. Fear is I don't fear really anything. Failure is what I really welcome, because I know I'm about to. If I fail at something, I know I'm one step closer to being where I want to be. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. And another one of our future guests, hopefully by the name of Aaron Rashkin, we sat through a training that he did. I think it was like 2 weeks ago. Actually, it was about a week ago, where he mentioned the idea of failing forward. And basically, what that means is just because you failed doesn't mean that you won't succeed. What you need to do is learn from your failures and continue to move forward. Because all failure is feedback on how to regroup and move forward, but always move forward. So he uses the term fail forward, and I absolutely love that. So.
Yeah, that's great.
So, but while we're waiting for our special guest to come on here, again, Ms. Tracey Walker on Wicked Awesome Wednesday. This is our new hashtag, baby, Awesome Wednesday. Anytime we have a special guest of this caliber come on our show, it is now Awesome Wednesday. So be prepared out there, listeners and followers of the Decision Hour, to just be amazed. Not only, our guests on Tuesdays are definitely very, very special to us, but there's only so many times when you can have a guest of this caliber come on your show, and we were more than happy to create an entirely new schedule to add to now Awesome Wednesday, to have Ms. Tracey Walker on. So as soon as she is ready and she is up and running, we will be more than happy to have her on. I do see her little icon down there in the corner, so as soon as she is ready, we'll have her on. But I first ran into Tracey Walker. I didn't run into her. I completely missed her at the first event. I believe it was in New Orleans. It was one of my first events that I went to. And basically, just to give you an idea and just to let you know that I'm really not trying to overhype this, as having her as our special guest, whenever I heard the name Tracey Walker, it was represented in the form of a person of power and integrity and drive and confidence. And I knew immediately that I wanted to be able to talk to her. She was definitely on my list. And ever since then, I've been, like on YouTube. You can find her on YouTube. You can find her on a blog at TraceyWalkerSpeaks.com, which I do frequent. Just an outstanding individual. Let me check, see if she's ready. Tracey, are you ready?
I am ready. I'm here. I'm listening.
Yeah. Welcome.
Outstanding, Ms. Tracey Walker. Welcome to the Decision Hour.
Thank you for having me, guys. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. I was just letting our listeners know, I first heard you really speak, I think, truthfully, it was in New Orleans, and then it was Orlando. And I learned so much from you that, to be honest with you, I'm still going through those notes and implementing what you went through. So just to be almost in the presence of greatness right now. So I do thank you for coming on. So real quick, Tracey, you've been mentioned in newspapers. You've been mentioned in magazines. You've been on local news channels in both Chicago and Orlando. You've written countless blogs. You've been on many stages. I mean, when you hear stuff like that, looking back at where you came from in the mean streets of Chicago, which I'll let you talk about here in a little bit, what does that mean to you?
Man, it means I'm walking in my calling. That's what it means. It means that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. It's working, right? It's flowing. I am being put in positions where my voice can be heard, platforms where people are listening, all because really my intention is to change as many lives as possible. Primarily financially, right? I mean, we're in a business. That's the angle that I come from. A pastor might do it from a more from a spiritual position, right? A therapist might do it more from an emotional position. But us being business owners and entrepreneurs, I'm doing it more from a financial position, although those other areas are just as important. Um, I believe that this is what I am here to do. And looking back, it's weird when you say that, and you kind of run it back to back to back like that, like, oh dang, yeah, oh I sure was, oh man, I wasn't that man, oh my God, right? You get kind of in this whirlwind, but when it's happening, it's just another day. It's another opportunity. It's that moment only, right? It only becomes that long laundry list after. um, but that's what it does. Is what it means. It means that I'm doing what God has called me to do, and so long as I have breath, I will keep doing it.
Outstanding, and I'm smiling from ear to ear right now because you're wearing a ring, and I'm going to get to that in a second. But I'm loving the ring that you're wearing, and we will get to that in a second. But let's start back, being that this is the decision hour, okay, the hour of decision. Let's go back to Chicago. You weren't always a seven-figure earner. I mean, what was life like at your time where you had to make the decision that if it was going to happen, it was completely up to you, and then we'll go into the organization that you're part of.
Sure. Growing up, my life was still very loving and um, I don't know. I would say normal, right? I would say normal. I didn't have any hardship from the standpoint of growing up. I mean, my parents loved me. It was fine. The issue though was that I grew up in the inner city of Chicago, right? And some people don't understand what that's like. Some people, I don't know. All they know is what TV is showing, kind of, and part of that can be kind of true, but I don't know. It's when you're so used to something, it becomes normalcy, right? And then you look at other people and they're like, "What the hell are you talking about?" Like it became normal for me to go to high school and walk through a metal detector, right? Because that's the way that you had to be. Because kids, that people would bring guns or knives or whatever to school because they wanted to beat somebody else up or jump on somebody else, right? And we had metal detectors. You couldn't even get through the front, the hallway lobby without going through the metal detector. Now, for me, it was a way of life, right? When I went other places and I'm like, oh yeah, we got metal detectors in high school. People are like, what in the what? Right? It was odd. I'm like, y'all don't have metal detectors? Oh, you guys, people don't want to kill each other where you live. Like, so it's just those little types of things there. I was on the pom pom team and the volleyball team. I was on the swim team too, and literally at different meets or football games and things. I mean, people would get into these huge fights. I mean, guns would be drawn. Some of my best friends, and I'm not painting this picture like Chicago was the worst place in the world. I'm just saying that everything is not roses for everybody, regardless of how they appear right now, right? I could have been in that environment and decided that that was what I wanted to participate in, right? Because it was what I saw. Most of us are products of our environment. I could have made the decision to say, you know what, this is what keeps me alive in this environment. This is what I'm going to do. I'd rather join, this gang and this group and be safe and this and that. But my mom didn't she kept me very busy in other things like dance, right? I grew up in trained dance, ballet, tap, jazz, African dance, all of that. Like I said, I was very active in sports and things like that. I was very active in academic things. I went to the University of Chicago from the time I was a freshman in high school all the way through my junior year in high school. I was a part of a program, a collegiate program at the University of Chicago, where we would go up to Wisconsin, Yerkes Observatory, and I knew the constellations. We would count meteors, right? right? So we got this South Side group of girls, right, and guys that outside of walking through that metal detector on the weekends, we're taking hikes up to an observatory to learn about astrology, right? It's like an oxymoron. And being able to have that to tap into, that became the environment I felt more comfortable with, right? And because of that, I gravitated towards that. So I went away to school. I went to Florida A&M University. I have a master's degree in business. Came out of that and didn't have a job right away. So finally I got a job, right? Moved to Atlanta from Tallahassee. My dad moved to Atlanta when I was like 8 or 9. So Atlanta has always been like a second home for me. I would come here in the summers. And so I moved to Atlanta. I stayed with my dad and my stepmom. I went to work. And that was kind of when things were like, all right, I'm in the matrix. Like I didn't think I was in the matrix when I was in school. And that's probably because everybody says you need to go to school, right? There was nobody that said I didn't need to go to school. Now there were some family members that didn't want me to go so far away. But the fact that I should go to a school was still the dominant thought, right, amongst the elders in my family. So I didn't think I was in a matrix. I didn't realize that things were jacked up until I got into corporate America. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. I've got a degree and I've paid all this money, and this kid is 18, but because his cousin is the director, he worked the same job I worked. Right? That's when it started hitting me. Oh, wait, this is bureaucracy. Oh, wait a minute. This is politics. Oh, it's not about how much you've earned and how much blood, sweat, and tears you've gone through to get here. It's about who you know. And I didn't fit there. I didn't fit there well at all. You know, I had this tension inside me every day. I would go to work and I would look at those people and say, I hate y'all. You know, not literally hate y'all, but I'm like, I hate being here. I hate being around y'all. I hate listening to this little small talk y'all have about your little 2-week vacation. Like, what are you talking about 2-week vacation? I want to go on vacation when I want to go on vacation. And it was all of those things going on around me that was helping me find what I did want. I knew what I didn't want because I'm listening to people talk about it. And when they're saying this, I'm saying, no, I want this. And I realized that I wasn't in the right place. If everything these people are saying that they want, I want the opposite. Obviously, I'm the oddball, right? I'm the weirdo. And I need to get out of here as fast as I can. So I was laid off after September the 11th of 2001. My industry, I was in the energy sector, went through a series of layoffs. And third round of layoffs, I was laid off. Some people are like, oh my goodness, oh no, I was dancing up to HR. I was excited to sign my severance papers and get Georgia unemployment because I was free. For me, it was freedom papers. I got my freedom papers. And I was out the door and I said, you know what, I'm going to use this time, this money, this energy, this effort to start a business. And I started a real estate business. I was an investment company at that time. And that became my bread and butter. I did that from 2002 all the way through 2006. I ended up moving back to Chicago at the end of 2002 because my mother was diagnosed with cancer. And so I moved back to Chicago. And pretty much, thank God I wasn't in that job anymore, right? Who's to say that, you know, she's diagnosed with cancer, but I was still working that job, what these people were going to say, right? That I couldn't take off and move back to Chicago. What am I supposed to do? Not hang with my mom? Right? Am I supposed to stress about this to keep this stupid job? So everything worked out, in my opinion, the way it was supposed to, so that I could do what I needed to do and I'm an only child, right? There's no sisters and brothers to call on and take turns. It's me 24/7. So I was very grateful to be at home with my mom, and she passed away March the 2nd of 2003. And needless to say, I picked up my real estate business from there, and we built this thing really huge through 2006, somewhere between $90,000 and $100,000 a month in this business. And so I was able to build a home. You know, I was under 30, build my first home. I had luxury cars. We traveled. We did all this stuff, and then the market went down. 2006, right? And we went from making that income per month to only making that the entire year of 2006, right? 90,000 a month to 90,000 in a year. You know, it sounds good to a person that's not making that, but when your lifestyle is here and it drops drastically in the blink of an eye, well, see, then I couldn't pay my mortgage, right? Then I couldn't pay my car notes. Then I wasn't able to really put food on the table the way that we were before, just buying food and this and that. Then I wasn't able to keep the electricity on and keep the gas on and keep the water on. So a lot of this stuff was rigged, right? A lot of this stuff we had kind of, I'm from the hood. We could figure out, how to make it happen. Right, I was living in the suburbs at this point in time, but hey, you can take the girl out the hood, but you can't take the hood out the girl sometimes, right? So we did what we had to do to live, and I didn't like that. I was on food stamps at this time, right? And it was just, it's like, really? So I go to school, I do all of this. I do everything everybody told me to do. I was a good kid. I didn't get in trouble. I'd never been arrested, right? I've never had a record. I didn't hurt anybody, right? None of this happened. I made it through safe, alive, through all of that, and still I'm at the food stamp office, right? This something's not right. And it was around that point in time where I decided that I've got to do something, right? It was cool. I didn't come to that decision during the real estate business time. That was just my transition out of corporate, right? That was my freedom. That's when I realized I deserved to be free. But it wasn't until after the real estate business crashed that I realized I've got to take this thing a lot more seriously, and I've got to put some things in place so that I can start making the type of money that I believe me and my family deserve. So I know it was kind of long roundabout, but I would say that would be the point in time when I realized that I was going to have to make 7 figures, 8 figures, whatever, and I'm going to have to do it on my own, through leveraged support, of course, but in terms of being free enterprise, my own business, I was going to have to make it happen there because there was no way I could go back to corporate. I hadn't worked a job since 2002, right? I couldn't punch a clock. I'm psychologically unemployable anyway, so it wouldn't work.
Well, thank you very much for sharing that story. And some of it I've heard before, but there were a few things that I didn't know about you. So I'm definitely blessed to be able to hear that. Now, coming off that time, David Wood was putting together an organization. He had this thought in his head about creating this masterpiece in his mind about a blogging company, if you will, and helping people work from home through this company. He came to you, I'm assuming, with this idea, okay? And you are currently part of the leadership group for this organization. You're definitely seen as one of the top leaders in this organization. When he came to you with this idea, I mean, was it one of those light bulbs came on, of course, or, I'll just give it a try and see what happens type thing?
Initially, because really it was Dave Sharp that caught me in the hall, because I knew Dave Wood. I had never met Dave Sharp really at that point in time. I was more friends with Dave Wood because we had been friends since 2009. Because the point in which he created his organization was 2011, just for people that are watching, just so they can kind of put the time frame together. So we were at an event in Orlando. Dave Wood and I were both speaking at this event, and Dave Sharp caught me in the hallway, and he kind of, I knew kind of who he was, but I didn't know him, and he kind of mentioned it to me, and I'm thinking, okay, right. So at that time, I was busy at the event. It wasn't a let me see, let me try, any of that. It was just, oh Lord, what they got going on in this hotel room, right? That was kind of what it was, and so then, my friend Nicole Cooper, she was there with me as well, and she was pregnant with her son Carson at that time, like 8 months pregnant, and I was so burned out and tired from the event, talking and speaking and all the people and this and that I went to bed. And I said, Dave, I'll talk to y'all tomorrow because I can't. Nicole actually went and spent like 4 hours out by the pool talking to both the Daves about this, and she came back and said, I'm not interested. But she was giving me all the details, right? Now, when she was giving me the details, I was intrigued from the secondhand information, right? So I'm thinking, so you don't think it's a good idea? You don't want to do so? I think it's a good idea, but I'm not, I'm burned out right now. I don't care. I don't want to do it with people. That was her thing. And I'm thinking, this sounds pretty good, girl, right? So I got with Dave and I said, well, listen, let's talk. When we all get back home and we can Skype. So we agreed to do that. We got home, me and the Daves got on a Skype chat, and they broke down to me the idea, what was going on, right? There was no website. There was no comp plan in the way that we know it, right? There were no $1 million earners. There was no mass influence formula. There was no top producer. There was none of that. None of that even existed, right? There was maybe 2 or 3 calls in the inner circle, and these were things that Dave had done previously, right? That was to start it off, and there was no blog yet. Okay, it was just what was going to happen, and I listened and I said, I'm in. I'm in. And the reason I was in was because A, I was a blogger already. Okay. It made sense what he was talking about. 2, Dave Wood is a genius. Like, he's quirky. He may seem kind of weird or odd or just like, what is up with dude? But because I had known him 2 years already, I knew his heart and I knew he was smart as hell. Like, he was smart. You know, he's like smarter than the average bear, you know, and so when he started running down, you know, the idea and how it came to him, I'm thinking, if I'm gonna run with anybody, I'm gonna run with him, right? Because this sounds good, and I'm in. So we faxed in a paper, right? I had to fax. There was no website to pay. He emailed me a form. So weird. He emailed me a form. I printed it out. I signed it. Put my credit card information on there. I scanned it. Emailed them back to Dave Sharp. And the company launched on October 31st, and that's how I got started. And so at that time, I'm in. I believed that what he wanted to do could work, right? It sounded good enough for me to attach my name to it. If it had failed, I didn't think it was a scam or nothing. If it had failed, it just failed. Something didn't work. But I was willing to take the risk because I believed in Dave, and I knew what he was capable of doing should he have support and it worked. And I wanted to be a part of that. So that's how that happened.
Outstanding. And just so our listeners know, Nicole is killing it right now as well within this organization, correct?
She is, and she's doing awesome, and love her to death. My sister, definitely.
Outstanding, outstanding. Now, whenever I go to an event, myself and about 20 or 30 other members, we created, after the last event, we created Power Quantum. Power Quantum, you know, that's with the power couple, Cassandra Lee and Paul CQ, and you know, we created that. But one of the main reasons behind that, I got to be honest with you, I was tired of hearing Dream Team shout out. They were a big group. Dream Team, Dream Team. It was like, all right, so we had to do something to try and rival that, and we're still a little ways away from that. But Dream Team is your baby. Thank you. Thank you. So when
you were ready for that.
When did the idea of the Dream Team come about? When were you thinking about when did you think about creating the Dream Team?
Every company I've been in prior to Empower, especially from a traditional sense, there was always a team, right? My very first company, it was a travel company, and I joined. I was new to the industry, but there was a team, right? I was part of the Chicago team, and you know, I saw the workings of this team, and I'm like, okay, it's a team. Then I shifted out of that into another traditional company, and we were on a team, right? We went to the national events and things like that, and I'm saying there was a team. Then I got into another company, and I was part of a team, right? So when I came to Empower Network, I came as a network marketer, right? And a network marketing, you have teams. I came to Empower Network, and I know that it was more of a mix of true internet affiliate marketers as well as network marketers, but there were no teams, right? And so my thing is, okay, so if we're going to look for people who want to change their lives, and we're going to bring them into an environment, how are we going to orchestrate any type of organization, right? How are we going to get people to circle around a common theme? How are we going to build camaraderie? How are we going to create something where, you know, whatever? And because we were at the beginning, I was one of the first people. I didn't join into a team, right? So my knowledge was like, oh, we got to create one, right? It wasn't like it was a long thought process about it. It was just like, oh, wait a minute, we don't have any teams. I need a team, right? And I said, well, then let's just start crafting one. And so the idea for the Dream Team came probably within weeks of it, because as I started sponsoring people, I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to do with these people, right? Where are they supposed to go? How are they supposed to learn? How am I supposed to communicate with them? Remember, look, in the back office now, you can email your team. We barely had a site, let alone email your team, right? So you got to remember all these little tools that people have access to now, and still complain about stuff that's ridiculous to me. We didn't have that. And so you had to find a way. And so my thing was, we had a Skype group at the time. We had a Skype group. I created my team a site on Ning.com, because it was free, it was easy, it was quick. We threw that up. I put a welcome video up there. Everybody that joined my team, I invited them to this Ning. We had some trainings up there. We had some getting started processes. We had all that at the very beginning. And then that way, at least people who joined our team felt a part of a centralized location. There was a hub. There was a home base for them. So that happened for us right at the very beginning. I would say maybe within the first 30 days or so. That's when we started making the move to create the Dream Team.
Well, thank you for that. A lot of the questions that I get, especially from individuals that I bring some new members, they always ask me, how soon should I start building a team? How soon should I start building a team? And sometimes my answers vary, and I'll tell them, well, go through your products first. Learn your products so that you can learn to speak to them. But others have said, as soon as you start building a list, you want to start building a team. But what's your thoughts to that?
You know what? I don't agree with that. I don't agree. A list has nothing to do with the team. See, here's the thing. My first month in Empower Network, and see, it's gonna vary from person to person, right? So this is my experience, and I'm just sharing with you my angle from it, right? My first month in Empower Network, I made close to $30,000. Now, those results are not typical, and everybody, you have to make sure you go check out our income disclaimer at empowernetwork.com/income. But I made close to $30,000. Now, you got to remember, at that time, we only had 3 products, right? And those 3 products cost $25, $100, and $500. That meant that the most any one person could make, a total of it would be $625, right? That was the most. We didn't have these other higher level products. So to make $30,000 with a price point of $625 means those were a lot of people, right? I sponsored a lot of people. It was not about a list. The list has nothing to do with anything. It's about the team. If you don't have anybody signed up, then you don't need a team. It's an irrelevant, it's a waste of mind space and use. It's taking you off the path of income producing activities because you're worried about a team that you don't even have yet. I said that we started the team probably within the first few weeks, the first 30 days. But obviously, I had sponsored so many people that I had a need to create something for the people so that I could hold on to them, so that I could build retention, right? So it was after I recruited the people that I created the team. I didn't spend all my time before creating a team for no people. Right? So no, I do not think that just because you're building a list, you should start a team. That's wasting your time. What you should be doing is you should be tapping into the team that already exists. I also preface this by saying when I joined my first network marketing company, I joined into a team. I didn't create the team. It's my first deal. I joined and I had a sponsor and they had things going on already. I just merged into that. My second company, same thing. My third company, same thing. I signed up into an organization and I just rolled with that group. That's what I did. It wasn't until here where I was at the beginning and there wasn't one. And so it was a desire, it was a need. It was a need to create it. And because I had been through several, situations before, I knew how to do it. And so I did it. Right now, everybody else, there's tons of teams already. Pretty much anybody that joins, you're going to be joining into a team. Don't worry so much about being the head of anything. Learn how to be a good follower first. Learn how to get the results first. Learn how to have testimonials first and people that you've helped first. Learn how to do that. Then have some oomph behind your team because now people want to join it. Right? You don't have to convince anybody anything because you've already let your results speak for themselves. So No, I think you should wait. I don't think that is the first thing you should be doing. I think you should focus on producing first, getting results, and worry about building a team second, because that is a headache in itself. And if you don't have to worry yourself with it, don't. Just don't. Just make your sales, build your group, and do what you got to do from that standpoint.
Outstanding. Thank you for that information. And I'm taking notes too. I am, even though I've been in for a little while. I love learning from Tracey. That you've done just an enormous amount of blogs. You do video all the time. You've done trainings in which I've paid for and signed up for, and they were well worth it. So thank you for that. What do you think is there one that you found in your success that's more important, or that has created more success from you as far as blogging versus video?
Yeah, for me, I've written a lot of blogs. I've done a lot of video blogs too, right? Prior to Empower Network, I had my blog already, right? And so I had a lot of videos on that blog. I had a lot of written content as well. For me personally, video has been, I would say, my hole in one, right? Because it capitalizes off of the skill that I already have, right? I already like to speak, right? I was already in business before. I have a degree in marketing, right? So I was already presenting and talking about companies and target markets and things like that. I was already doing that in my past life. Even before I knew anything about this world, I was already doing that. And so to come into a home-based business situation where I could leverage that and do it through video came very naturally to me. And because of that, I could do it with ease. So video would be the thing for me. But this is my charge to everyone, that if you don't speak well on camera, then maybe that's not your thing. Maybe you are much more of a written person, right? And you can craft your ideas and thoughts from that perspective. Maybe you can speak well, but you don't like to be seen. When David Wood first got started on the internet, people had never seen him, really. I mean, they would see his pictures, but he didn't do live video like what we're doing now. What he would do is and because I've known him, I know what he used to do, right? Back in 2009, what he would do is he would create these PowerPoint presentations, and he would put his picture on them, like on different slides, but you would hear his voice. You wouldn't see him. Why? Because he was in a van. Like, really? So obviously it wouldn't do well for his audience for him to be sharing these high-level concepts, because even though he was in a van, he was still a genius, right? It's just his circumstances were what they were because of decisions that he made before. He had this high-level content, and he couldn't show that he was homeless. He could, but he didn't. And so when people found that out, they were like, "What? How? How are you homeless? This doesn't make any sense." So the point is, you don't have to do live video, right? You could do audio over PowerPoint if you are, a compelling speaker, and still make it happen. And so my point is, we all started from somewhere. So the biggest tip there would be to find your strength. Find what you're already good at, and then learn a marketing skill or strategy that allows you to capitalize and leverage from that. That way you don't have to spend there's enough to learn as it is. So don't even worry about trying to learn a new way to be. Just be who you are. Find a mechanism that allows you to leverage that, and then go. Just go. Don't worry about anything else. Just go.
Thank you, Tracey. For our listeners, for our followers of the Decision Hour, what Tracey is doing is affectionately what we call dropping golden nuggets. And this is why I love listening to her speak, and anytime she has an event, and occasionally I'll even drop in. I'm not a part of the Dream Team. I will drop in on a Dream Team hangout just to see what I can learn that evening. And I have given major props to the Dream Team for all the members there. And they are extremely well run. They're very intelligent. They're highly intelligent individuals, just like their leader, Ms. Tracey Walker. One of the first videos that I remember watching from me before I even got to an event was it answered perfectly the one question: is what do I blog about? What do I blog about? Who am I blogging to? How do I find these people? And I Googled it, and the first thing that popped up was a video by Ms. Tracey Walker. It was 2 hours and 21 minutes. I remember this because I've watched it over and over again, and I send it to all my new people to watch. You know which one I'm talking about, right? Okay, so I've sent this out to many people, and that one video helped me jumpstart my business so much. I've pretty much learned more from you and maybe Lawrence Tam than anybody else in the industry. And Lawrence Tam has also agreed to be a guest on the show here in the future as well, which is absolutely phenomenal. I love you guys extremely much. Now, one thing that Tracey loves, and I was going to do it, but I completely forgot the verse at this time, but one thing she loves is when a white boy quotes rap songs. Oh, yeah. And I was going to do it, and I completely forgot which one, so I'm going to have to hit you up at the next event in Nashville.
Okay.
And
like Justin Berenger, right? When right. He's singing Lil Wayne. I'm like, what? Justin?
When he did, and he got up on stage. Justin got up on stage and actually gave us some of his lyrics at the last event. And Justin and Dee Berenger, by the way, Dee has also agreed to be a part of the show. So, Tracey, you've basically gone ahead and set the path for our future guests. And we definitely appreciate you come on. Now, one more question. Actually, I got a quick story for you real quick. Okay. When I made the decision that Tracey Walker was definitely somebody worth listening to, and it was a Monday night Empower Hour call, and I doubt that you remember this call, but because it was just a short sentence, but it affected me so much. Monday night, you know, I'm a sports guy. I'm the director of sports entertainment for Vets on Media. I get to travel around. I get to cover games. I'm in the press boxes. Sports is my thing. Okay. There isn't a woman in my life right now, really, that can't take sports away from me or make me shut it off. Okay. Except you.
Whoa.
Now, this happened on a Monday night call where I'm listening to Tracey Walker for the first time, right? And it's called the Empower Hour call, and it's every Monday night, and without fail. And I'm listening, and she said something along the lines of, the reason why most people don't succeed is they don't focus, and you need to pay attention and turn off that damn game. I'm not going to lie. I had the game on.
See? I know somebody.
I had the game on, but before you finished, you said it with such authority and such power that before you even finished that sentence, the off button was hit, the remote was thrown, and I was listening now intently to what you had to say. So that was my first memory of Tracey Walker, and at that point I knew I had to meet you, and I did get to meet you briefly in Orlando and take a picture with you in my Patriots jersey, which, by the way, go Patriots, right?
Go Patriots.
But again, Ms. Tracey Walker, we're going to wrap up here in a second, but I thank you so much for being on the show, because, again, you have set the example for a lot of our individuals and a lot of our future guests that want to come on this show. And you set the example in many ways, and one of the things that I want to point out is in Empower Network, they got this thing called the $1 Million Earner Ring. And again, income disclaimer, results not typical. Go to empowernetwork.com/income to see the current results. And Jonathan Cronstad, Jay Cron as we affectionately know him by, told this little story before you actually received your ring in Orlando. I've got many pictures, and I'll send them to you, and you're free to use them for whatever you please. But there's a story that there's a ring for the guys, and then there's going to be a ring for the ladies when they earned they hit the $1 million mark. Something wasn't right at that point, Ms. Walker, and you let that be known. And I believe you said something along the lines of, my $1 million is no different than what the guy's $1 million look like, so I want the big ring. And please show us that ring.
See, this is, I'll take it off so we can see it. This is the ring.
Bling, bling. I like that.
Oh, my goodness. And that goes out to the $1 million earners in Empower Network. And they're going to have to do something when somebody hits 2 million and 3 million and so on. But that is, oh my goodness. Just to think that they were going to
It's my superhero ring. See, I keep it.
You're,
Yeah, this is the box, that they awarded me the ring in. You remember, right? This is the
yep.
infamous, wooden box. And so I keep it on my desk, and I don't wear the ring all the time, right? Like if I'm going to the wherever, to the bathroom, I don't wear the ring, right? So the thing is, the thing is though, I'll sit here and it's here, right? It's here. But there are times where I need to be creative, right? There are times where I'm thinking of ideas, where it's thinking time, right? And so what I'll do is I'll look over and I say, wait a minute, let me put on my superhero ring, right? And I'll put my ring on, and it I don't know, it's weird because it's like I know the results, like the numbers kind of speak, the sales numbers of over $1 million, that's there, but it's like when you put the ring on and you feel it, right? You feel it, the weight of it, you can see it. It's a physical representation of something that's kind of intangible, and it helps me to remind myself that I can do whatever it is I'm trying to do at that point in time, right? Whatever it is I want to create, or whatever the intention is, or whatever the goal, the outcome, whatever I'm trying to do, that I can do it. And so it helps me think, it helps me to be creative, it helps to rebuild confidence, it helps do all those different types of things, right? So it's kind of weird, but that's kind of what I use it for. I use it for the representation, the reminder, the self-reminder of what's possible, and to know that, hey, girl, if you can achieve this, there's so much more, right? This is just the beginning. So good old ring sits right there in the box, and I got it on for you guys tonight.
Well, we definitely appreciate it, and I was hoping that you did. I was definitely hoping that you did. Adam, what do you think about getting one of those, man?
I take a 10.5, so I'm ready for.
Oh, they
I'm-
make them in your size, Adam. There's more than enough.
all right, good.
More
I'm
than
looking
enough.
forward to it. I'm looking forward to it.
You know, and I got to apologize to Adam because I'm like a kid in a candy store, and I've talked most of this interview, so and I know that he's
I've known you,
definitely
I've
interested.
known JD. I've known you for years, so I'm used to it by now. So it's all good.
Thank you.
It's all
Thank
good.
Isn't it
you.
wonderful when you know the people that you work with? It's like it's not a big deal. You know what it is, right?
I do have to say, Tracy, first off, it's a pleasure meeting you, and I look forward to meeting you in person here very soon. Uh, and thank you again for a lot of people, and definitely a role model. And I've been taking some notes here myself tonight, and I can't thank you enough for joining us this evening and taking
Oh,
time out of your schedule to join us this evening. So,
Oh yeah, it's cool. It's cool. It's my pleasure. Anytime that I can work with any of the people in our community that are, doing things. Listen, a lot of people just like, hey, can you come be on my show? Hey, can you do this hangout? I can't do everything, right, for every little person that brings it up the inbox. But when you've got something organized, right? You've got an audience, you've got, listeners, you've got followers, and you're building, I try to make myself available to environments like that because it's important, right? It's important. And so at the end of the day, even though we have, all our different segments of teams and things like that, we're still one sound, one band, one sound, right? And so I want to be able to be of support in any way that I can. So it's just as much as of a privilege and an honor for me to be here, as you say, it is to have me here. So it's mutual. I'm glad to do it. I'm honored to do it, and I'm very humbled that you guys would even think of me to ask me. So that long list of stuff doesn't sound like nothing when you're doing it. It's not till you run it back that you're like, oh my God, yeah, I did all that stuff.
Well, it's definitely been a pleasure, Tracy. And just to give you an idea, that's on media. We've got about 750,000 followers with now what about 17 shows. But the majority of our followers is military
Oh
and
wow.
veterans.
Hmm.
So we definitely appreciate it because, I mean, I got out of the military and initially I was homeless. And there's a lot of military, there's a lot of veterans out there that struggle on a day-to-day basis. And our goal is to shrink that number as much as possible with this organization. We want to walk into an event one day with hundreds, if not thousands, of military and veterans being represented. And that's our passion.
I see
So
it.
for you to be able to take the time out of your schedule and to be able to help us with that, that definitely means a lot to us for you to do that. So we're very appreciative. Thank you so much.
Oh, you got it. You got it. You know, my cousin, who's like a brother to me, was in the army. I know it's probably this is
Cool.
you guys represent all different branches of the military, right? Um,
Right.
he was 82nd Airborne, and I'm telling you, Lord have mercy. I don't know what happens. Like before he went to the military, he seemed fine, right? And he come out of the military, he was a completely, completely different person. But he had gone to war, right? He had been to Kuwait.
Mhm.
You know, he'd seen a lot of things. You know, I'm not military, so I don't know what you guys deal with if you've been in wartime and things like that. But you know, PTSD. You know, I mean, a lot of these different things that have plagued him. You know, now being 36, 37, you know, over the years. And so I have matter of fact, I have uncles that have, you know, that are veterans. I've seen my cousin have to be homeless because of just different things going on with the VA, you know, and not taking care of this or not being able to take care of that, and on the list and taking forever and on and on and on. It's just all the things that you guys do for this country, and then to have to wait for anything would seem like it's too much to ask. So I appreciate what you guys are doing, because this is a target market of people that obviously, regardless of the service that they've had to this country, may or may not be in a position where the government's taking care of you at all, right? And so if we can provide a way for people to live again, for people to be self-sufficient again, for people to remember that they are great and that they are deserving and that they are loved and that they are appreciated, especially with a community like what we have. I think it's an extremely loving community, what we have, and powerful. Then it's so much more of an honor to be here, because that's what I would want our vets to know, that even if the government isn't taking care of you, that there are other things that you can do where other people can show you a way, a light, a truth. And so walking this path with you guys, I think, is, you know, you being the light bearers. I salute you, and I respect you greatly for that. And thank you for trusting me with your audience.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tracy. We definitely appreciate you and everything you're doing. We can't wait to see you, hopefully in Nashville, right?
That's right. We'll be there. I'm excited.
I can't wait. 3 weeks away, maybe 4 weeks away. I can't wait. I'll be there for the entire weekend. We're going to be, for those of you that want to join us, we'll be in Nashville I believe it's the 24th through the 26th of April.
Yes.
We will be at the Opryland Resort, which I've been told is absolutely beautiful, and I can't wait to be there.
Yep.
If you want to find out a little bit more information on how to join us, there's multiple different ways you can do it. The first one is Tracey Walker, TraceyWalkerSpeaks.com. What else? How else can they reach you on social media?
I would say Facebook, my fan page. That's probably the best. They can find me there at TraceyWalkerFanpage.com. And you gave them the blog, that's fine. They can follow me on Twitter, but I'm way more active on Facebook than Twitter. Twitter is followTraceyWalker.com, but Tracey Walker fan page, that'll do it.
Outstanding. Well, that is probably a huge fan page. Actually, I've been to it quite a few times, and I got denied friends. She has too many friends. She can't have any more friends. I love how Facebook does that. She has too many friends.
Well, that's on the profile, so that's why that fan page is the best, because I really can't accept any more friends on my personal, but the fan page is unlimited, so that gives me an opportunity to connect with everyone. So please go there, connect with me. I love to chat.
Okay, Tracy. So final thoughts, Tracy. If there's somebody out there that knows that they want to do something different and knows that there's a better life out there for them, what is your advice to them right now?
My advice is to get started with you guys today. My advice is to just follow you guys, to do what you're telling them to do, because for one, I don't believe that your intent is to harm anyone. I do not believe that your intent is to steer anybody down the wrong path at all. That's not my intent either. I don't believe that's the intent of our founder, right, and the owner of the company, David. I truly believe that if you know you want to do something different, and you deserve it, that there are tons of ways to make money. Don't get me wrong. There's tons of ways to make extra income, but there's only a handful of ways that are going to allow you to do it with integrity, with a group of people that actually care, and those that are going to help you along the way, right? And one of those one of those resources would be what we're doing here on the Path of Empower Network. So I would say get with you guys right away. Follow whatever link, get signed up, get enrolled, and if you can follow the leader, which I know all these military guys can, right? Everybody can follow the leader, and follow instructions and do what you need to do. I know you guys don't have a problem with that. I would just follow the leaders, and I would get started, and I would get going today. And then while you're doing that, I would do it while also believing and knowing that this is the right place. You just have to do the consistent, focused actions every day, one foot in front of the other every day, and eventually you will get to where you want to get to. It's not overnight, just like nothing is, right? You guys know the concept of hard work. Again, this isn't a group that wants something for nothing. This is a group that understands some blood, sweat, and tears. And so with that being said, I think the hardest thing for this group would be to just make the decision. But once that's done, I think the commitment, this is a group of committed people, right? And serious and respected and honorable people, and I think that this will be a great place for people to get started, do something new, do something great, do something fun, and make a lot of money doing it.
Outstanding, absolutely. And Tracey, I'm going to message you some resources for your cousin for a little bit of help with PTSD. Soldier's Best Friend, Dr. Carrie Elk. I mean, there's many different resources out there that can help him out, and I will message you that list to hopefully help him out a little bit on that. And awesome. If he wants to reach out to us at Vets on Media, we're more than happy to have him in, and more than happy to welcome to the family of Vets on Media if he wants to be a part of it.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Absolutely. I was talking to a veteran today in Atlanta who's going to be one of our baseball guys that I'm looking at hiring. So you can cover the Braves. So now, Tracey, real quick, you grew up in Chicago. You're a Bears fan?
I am a Bears fan. I'm a Bulls fan. I'm not too big on hockey, but I would be a Blackhawks fan too. But yeah, I'm a Southside girls, and I'm a Sox fan too.
Outstanding. And I wanted to bring that up last so that you didn't leave the group, because Adam happens to be from Wisconsin.
Uh-oh, so he's a Packers fan?
That is correct.
The Cheeseheads? Oh, God.
But hey, then there's the Patriots, right?
Oh, God.
Red Sox,
Amen.
Bruins. So outstanding. Adam, your final thoughts maybe before we let Tracey go?
Listen, Tracey, great interview. Thanks for coming on right up until the Chicago Bears thing. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. In all seriousness, I can't thank you enough for being on this show. I've learned so much, and I'm really looking forward to meeting you here in the near future and following you a little bit more. So on behalf of the Vets on Media family and the fans that are listening, thank you.
Let's do it. Sounds good, Adam. I'm so excited to meet you guys in person. And next time we meet, give a big hug. It's like we know each other for real this time, right? So I'm excited about that.
Outstanding. And again, thank you so much for coming on. Ms. Mama Don't Play, Tracey Walker.
J-Cron started something with that, didn't he?
He did. He did. So again, thank you so much. Adam, let's go ahead and pay some bills here real quick. And we're going to go ahead and close out. Tracey, again, thank you so much. We love you. Thank you.
Love you too. Thanks for having me. Bye.
Listen, everybody. Appreciate you guys being on the show. Make sure you check out www.vetsonmedia.com. I want to thank all of the sponsors. You can see them right there. Heroes Vodka. Make sure you drink responsibly. Check out AR500. MilitaryPoloShirts.com. They got the hat that I'm wearing tonight. Those of you that are on the Hangouts also have Military Marketplace and Black Flag Firearms, as well as big sponsor that's come in is the New York Patriot Hills in New York. Patriot Hills in New York. Great organization out in New York, doing fabulous things for our veterans. We got a lot more things coming up here real soon. We are transitioning into a new studio here in the next couple of weeks. But make sure you continue to check out www.vetsonmedia.com, and definitely make sure you follow us on Facebook as well as the Decision Hour with myself and JD. Um, Until next week, folks, you're listening to the Decision Hour. We'll see you guys next week. Through the night, that our flag was still